Welcome back, everyone, to Take Your Cue with PeopleQ, and we are going to continue talking about trust.
Woohoo! It's such a big topic, and there's lots of different, components of trust and how we build it, how we cultivate it, how we share it with our teams. So it's a great topic, and obviously we needed to do a part 2 and potentially a part 3, Mel.
Oh my gosh, we might go to a part 3, but I don't know. Will the audience be back?
I hope so. So Mel, we've been talking about trust and in the last segment, and a lot of it was kind of external focused. So I kind of wanted to sort of bring it back a bit and look at trust from an internal perspective. So a question, what part does language and communication play in building trust?
Oh, that is a big question, and we could talk for hours, and we've only got a few minutes. But you're right, we were talking about the doing before, so I want to talk about the thinking in terms of relating it to communication and language. But the words we use creates worlds. So the way that we use our words determines how people perceive them, and will also determine how much people will listen and what they will listen to. So let me give you an example. Without really realising that, our language might be using words such as, Saria, that's a good idea, but I think. Right. That is language that kind of says no, and it shuts down your thinking. So for me, if I can just maybe share a tip, it's really important to go internal and consider your mindset, to consider how you might shift your language and your communication so you're not shutting people down. And so rather than coming into a conversation with someone, whether it be a team member or the whole team or my peers or my colleagues, rather than coming in and being, a little bit skeptical about what's going to transpire, come in with this mindset of going, okay, what would happen if I kind of partnered with these people or if we co-created the situation? So go in with that mindset, because that will help you then choose very different language. Because then I'm not going to say but to you and shut down your ideas. I'm going to go, you know what if we did that and we also considered this as well?
And I think as well, if you approach it that way, you become automatically, you create more inclusivity within your team as well.
Absolutely. And we could go on to talk about, why we shut down when we hear those words. And that kind of leads us into this idea of emotional intelligence, but we won't go there today. But you know what? I've got a question for you, Saria. I wonder if you can describe what it feels like when you're part of a team high in trust.
Well, I mean, it's fairly easy to describe a high trust team, I suppose. And I've been a part of many, luckily.
Was that us?
Well, yes. Absolutely. We were part of a high trust team. But I think, for me, the feelings that come to mind is that you feel like you're in a safe environment where, you can put all your ideas, no matter how wacky they might be, you can completely feel comfortable and be yourself. So that's when I guess you would know if you're in a high trust team. So, and I know, I can be quite reserved at times. And so for me, that's a real, I'll know that I'm part of a high trust team when I feel like I can quite easily and comfortably convey some of my ideas and, even raise challenges that I've been having and expose some vulnerability. So that's when you know that you're in a high trust team. but also that, you're being included. I mentioned, inclusive culture.
Inclusivity is so important to high trust. Absolutely.
And I think when people, lots of organizations have, are targeting diversity and inclusion as some of the focus points for them, it's not just recruiting for diversity inclusion, but then also behaving in a way that you're actually then encouraging those groups to come forward with their ideas, and creating a safe, high trust environment is going to get the best out of those cohorts that you're attracting into your business.
So I like to think of inclusivity from a trust perspective, in building trust, from a mindset perspective. So if you were to, enter into a conversation about a problem that needed to be rectified, I would sit back and go, right, if I had my inclusive hat on, who else would need to be present in this conversation? That's how I see inclusivity showing up. Or, what other ideas do we need to consider? And so this goes to that kind of partnering mode, co-create mode as well. You start to open things up. And again, I get excited as we're talking about this, because I think about what that means for organisations and how it helps lead them into this high-performing, thriving culture. So, Sari, I think that's all that we've got time for today. We will see our audience back for our next Take Your Cue from PeopleQ.
Thanks, everyone.